Prof, I have one, actually I have two questions, three questions. The first one, for the Brazilian population, what is the best cutoff for screening? 1 in 100 or 1 in 150? First one. The second, it's very clear, but I would like to clarify. If I'm not from Africa, if I take milk and like to eat cheese, shall I use or not calcium? And the second one is, now I have uterine artery Doppler or ophthalmic Doppler or uterine and ophthalmic Doppler.
Three questions. I think that it is better to use a risk cutoff of 1 in 150. The reason for that is very simple. If we want to maximize the number of women that will be identified, the detection rate, we can tolerate a screen positive rate of 15%. Actually. In a few months, we will do a big study in Spain, in London, and in 3 African countries, in Senegal, in Gambia, and in Ghana. And the study that we will do is we will give 30% of the population a risk of 1 in 200, 250, and we will give them aspirin until 20 weeks. And then we will randomize them into 2 groups. One where we stop the aspirin after 24 weeks, and another where we continue until 36 weeks. If that study shows that by stopping at 24 weeks, we have an equally good prevention, then that would be quite beneficial, because some people worry of giving aspirin to women up to the 36th week, because if they go into labor, they worry that they will have more bleeding, or if they want to have an epidural. In the United States, the anesthetists are refusing to give the women an epidural. In England, of course, they do give an epidural. It doesn't worry them. But in America, everybody's worried about everything. So in reality, therefore, there's no reason why you should limit the number of women that can receive aspirin. Your second question was relating to calcium. I have shown you the evidence for calcium, and to me, it's very convincing that calcium is not beneficial in the prevention of preeclampsia. It's very clear, and you have published these results in the British Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology, and I have presented these results to the World Health Organization and told them to wake up and to recommend proper screening and prevention rather than bad evidence-based prevention. Your third question was about the Doppler. To me, there's a big difference between the uterine artery and the ophthalmic artery. I have been fighting for the uterine artery for 30 years now. But you know, when you look in the pelvis, there are quite a few, and you put the color on, there are quite a few blood vessels. And although if you receive good training, you can identify the uterine artery, it's not so easy to train people and to do it accurately. But the ophthalmic artery is so very easy because there's only one vessel. And that is why it is easy. Now, I have spent £500,000, which is $600,000, to develop software that can calculate the risk for preeclampsia, and the risk for preterm birth, and the risk for gestational diabetes, and fetal hypoxia and anemia. And this software is freely available to every doctor in the world. And in this software, we are able to calculate the risk for preeclampsia based on the ophthalmic artery and the uterine artery. I think that the benefit from doing both is marginal. I think it is sufficient to do the ophthalmic artery.
Good. One question here. Ini?
Quando a gente faz alertar que tem que ser utilizado, mas a gente não sabe. A gente não sabe fazer.
I know that you had these questions many times. If the patient is allergic aspirin, what should I do?
I have been a doctor for many years. I'm very old. And I have never seen a woman that is allergic to aspirin. If they're allergic to aspirin, then of course they cannot take aspirin. One of the options is to take heparin, Flexane. But there are studies that have looked at the value of heparin on its own or in combination with aspirin for the prevention of preeclampsia. And it is not beneficial unless the women have autoimmune disease, systemic lupus erythematosus, or antiphospholipid syndrome.
Alguma mais? Pergunta ou não? So again, the question of calcium. If you have a low calcium diet, calcium doesn't work. Or it's question of the diet, how you take aspirin, or sorry, calcium, or doesn't work in those who had calcium in the everyday, or in those that have not calcium every day.
Eduardo, can you see the slide?
Calcium, the meta-analysis? Yes. The meta-analysis here.
It's not a psychological problem for me. I'm a scientist and I look at the evidence. This is the evidence, nothing more and nothing less. Green, this is green. This is low calcium diet. This is adequate calcium diet. In the low calcium diet group, out of these studies, they examined 10,000 women. This is all the evidence, 10,000 women. And when you look at it, the combined data shows that calcium reduces the risk by 60%. But then look at the evidence. Of the 10,000, you see, 5,331 is the total in the experiment, and this is the calcium group, and 5,347 in the control group. 10,000. 4,000 out of the 5,000 was this study, one proper study. No effect. So you can either believe Villar or Lopez Jaramillo and my mother and my cousin and a friend of Lopez Cramilo from Uruguay and Paraguay and Iran. I don't believe these studies at all. These studies were sponsored by companies that were promoting either milk or calcium. And you cannot, who is crazy? Who is a scientist that compares the value of the Villar study with the silly studies, the stupid studies of Lopez Cramilo and Lopez Cramilo and Lopez Cramilo? It is impossible. It is scientifically wrong. So calcium does not work either in low or in adequate calcium intake countries. This is the evidence. It's not my psychological problem. It's the evidence. Calcium does not work.
I think, Prof, is very clear. It's the same way of cervical assessment and progesterone. Pessary, and
Yes.
people make money through pessary. People put pessary, and pessary doesn't work. So
Yes.
I'd like to thank you. We are going to move on for the next presentations. Thank you. It's almost midnight, and it's always nice. And I know how you are hard work, and at this time you are giving lectures. Thank you, Prof.
Thank
Bye.
you. Good luck. Bye-bye.